Right, guys. So, as a favor to my most irritating and annoying class, here is your prep for assignment one. And I hope you do really badly in it too. Okay. So the first one, oh my gosh, somebody's going to take that and record it and send it off to Varsity College, as somebody did on a group. I know who it will be as well. Okay, guys, let's have a look at it. So, overview of CSR, and then obviously in terms of Unilever. Now, I'm not going to connect it back to Unilever. You can do that yourself. So, in terms of the first one, then the principles of CSR. So, just remember, CSR happened as a consequence of organizations becoming incredibly wealthy because of people and customers, but also at the expense of the environment, and also the realization that they have to be good corporate citizens. So, from a corporate social responsibility perspective, it was almost a license to operate. It was almost that need that you have to have this in order to be able to retain your customers. And I like the idea that it is a license to operate, and it is a license to get people to give you their money for your products, etc. And it's you giving back and being a good corporate citizen. So in terms of the principles of CSR, so you guys can see the three there. So the sustainability one, sustainability is doing business in a way that you make profits now, but making sure that you'll be able to make profits in the future. So sustainability is ensuring that you're going to be around in the long term, but also looking after your current stakeholders. So the definition in terms of CSR has changed, and it's about the focus on stakeholders. I mean, I use a stupid example, and my apologies for this example. But if, for example, SAPI harvests trees in a specific area, they will plant saplings in another area. So it's profits now, but done in a way that there are profits in the future. So sustainability is about the long-term view, and it's about looking after the planet and looking after the stakeholders. To also just say, in terms of the stakeholder model, what has happened is people have added the natural environment as a stakeholder. So we see the natural environment as one of those key stakeholders that we have to be concerned about. So in terms of sustainability, you can have a look at there. It is about what we do now and how that affects the future. We've seen organizations that haven't been sustainable, organizations that focused on profits in the short term and providing money for shareholders so that they could be happy, and it was about dividends. And if you ever get an opportunity, watch the smartest guys in the room. And it is about Enron, which went from something like $64 billion in assets to complete bankruptcy in 21 days. This was in 1990. So you know how much money it was then. Yeah, so the smartest guys in the room. It is about corporate social responsibility. It is about corporate greed and corruption and a range of other things. I mean, at some point they convinced their employees to take out their pensions to invest in the company because they were running out. So those employees lost their pensions, and the numbers of suicides as a consequence of that collapse was insane. So have a glance at that one in terms of sustainability. So sustainability, doing business in a way now that you provide and look after your shareholders and your stakeholders, but also making sure that you're around in the future. The second one is accountability. I don't know if you guys are too young for this. Do you remember the Deepwater Horizon catastrophe in the Southern Oceans, where there was a connect to they were taking oil out of the bottom of the ocean floor, and a leak sprung and it destroyed the Gulf of Mexico, causing damage that would take 30 years to repair? Accountability is what the CEO did. The CEO resigned as a consequence of that. And the difference between accountability and responsibility is the people who were supposed to secure that well to the bottom of the floor, they were responsible. But accountability cannot be delegated. So the CEO had to resign. There was another example of the Prime Minister of Iceland whose wife got involved in a Ponzi scheme, and people lost millions and millions. And this guy resigned as a consequence of his wife's actions. He had nothing to do with what his wife done, but his attitude was, I'm accountable. So it's that ultimate responsibility, and it's the realization that your effect and your impact on the environment, you have to make sure that whatever damage you cause, you do your rehabilitation, that you make sure that you look after the environment. We see so many oil spills destroy vast areas in the ocean. I mean, we've got other examples. In Pietermaritzburg, in particular, we have a particular factory that keeps dumping their rubbish into the doozy and just destroys fish life, and nothing ever happens. But I think it has a lot to do with who you know in the municipality, etc. So in terms of accountability, the one thing accountability does, it creates trust with your stakeholders. It is that fact that when things go wrong, we will take care of it, even if it takes us to lose our jobs. I think there is a crisis of accountability at this stage. I mean, if you think of the Jeffrey Epstein files and how everyone wanted to see the Jeffrey Epstein files, and now no one can see the Jeffrey Epstein files. There's a lack of accountability. If your name is in that file, you should account for the reason why you flew to the Epstein Island 7 times, which was Donald Trump, who flew to this island 7 times. And then why your name was mentioned in the file 67 times. But what do you do in terms of accountability? You say, oh no, it's the Democrats. It's not accepting blame when you are supposed to. There are lots of other examples. And as I said when I got here, please watch this season of South Park. Just watch the season in terms of Donald Trump and the way they depict him and the way they depict the woman in charge of ICE. They've been sued and threatened, but they just come back with more and more and more. And the Donald Trump one is rather interesting. I won't tell you what happened because I'm being recorded. Okay. So accountability is about creating a sense of trust, guys. It is when things go wrong, you stand up and you say, I am at fault. I'm to blame. I will try and fix it, or I will fall on my own sword. And we have a lot of a lack of accountability in the world. I mean, think of in America where they constantly kick people out of the country and send them to a Salvadorian jail. And this one guy was an American citizen that ended up there, and they said, oh, we can't do anything. It's too late. He's already there. That's a lack of accountability. Guys, and then transparency. Remember, transparency, it's the ability of an external agent to observe the operations of an organization and understand what actually happens, how decisions are taken, how processes work, how things connect together in the organization. So transparency is the ability as an outsider to see and understand the inner workings of an organization. Why do we need transparency as stakeholders? Trust. It's about trust. If you're a shareholder, you want to see what happens to your money. You want to see where that money goes and how that money is used. If you are a customer, you want to see whether what you buy from them has been ethically sourced. So it's the ability to do that. Right, so that is the first one, and you can see the pages there. We've given the pages. I think you guys have written the pages down. Any questions on that one? So that's question 1. And then question 2, what page is this on? Thank you. Am I past 45 already? Yeah, so at this level, the balance between giving us the theory and integrating it with the application is what gives you your marks. So it's that balance, and it's also showing us through the examples that you select that you actually understand the theory. Because it's easy to produce theory, but it is how you apply it. It's an indication of whether you actually understand the theory. And it's also how you integrate it. I just think the flow for me is important in terms of this assignment. So I would normally discuss each of the elements and then link it to what Unilever is doing, and then bring the second element and link it and integrate it into what Unilever is doing. Also, remember, guys, you're expected to use additional sources. I loaded some textbooks onto ARC. I don't know how good they are. I don't know if anyone's had a look at them, because I cannot find free textbooks. I mean, the CSR textbooks are so incredibly expensive, but have a glance at what is on ARC. And I have to start being more active on ARC, because apparently that's how our peer review is being done this year, is how effectively we use ARC. So yeah, I'm in serious trouble, to be honest with you, because I think we like WhatsApp groups, guys. Yeah, so it's the IIE, whatever the date is. It's not the ideal one to reference. So this is 45. Right, so let's look at the next question. So in terms of the question, the different levels of CSR, and then whether Unilever is in fact involved at those levels and which apply to Unilever. So very, very simple to look at the three levels. So the first one is social obligation. It's based on Milton Friedman, and I think we've discussed it already, and I haven't seen you guys in a while, and I apologize for that. Milton Friedman was a radical free market economist, and he believed that the only obligation an organization had was to make a profit. Remember, we watched the video clip with the 10 trees apparel, where the one guy said, the only thing you're supposed to do is to make a profit. So the belief in terms of this theory, and the belief behind the theory, is if you focus on a profit, only on profits, you will be more profitable. Because you're more profitable, you'll pay more taxes. Because you pay more taxes can be used for social issues. That's the thinking behind it. In fact, Friedman said it is illegal for managers and managing directors to not only focus on anything but profitability. Any comments on that? That you only focus on profitability because you then be more profitable, pay more taxes, and the taxes can be used for social purposes.
Focus on that part of the reason, but I think it's sketchy.
You're going to become sketchy, but also, can we trust government to look after social issues? So at least with the upgraded approaches, and we'll talk about those in a second, we can actually control what difference we make from a social and environmental perspective. If we trust government, I mean, where do our taxes go? Where do our taxes go? I've just had a friend who's moved to Knysna, and I don't know if anyone saw the stuff on Knysna on Carte Blanche this weekend. It is disturbing. Yeah, it is disturbing. He's just moved to Knysna. It is disturbing. The second one is social reaction. And here you look at how you impact society. So, for example, if you have an area, if there's a leak in an organization and it spills into a river and you pollute the river, you go fix the pollution that you've caused. So it's all about the reaction. So essentially, all you do is you measure your impact and then you try and offset that impact with doing good in particular areas. So if you displace people because you need certain land, you will find new land for them. And it's a ridiculous example, but you only look at your impact and correcting your impact. And then the last one is social responsiveness. Here we look at issues in society that aren't being addressed by government. It's those kind of areas where big business aren't involved, where government aren't involved, and we step into those areas to deal with those kinds of social issues, those societal ills, if you want to talk about that. So this is the highest level, and it's about actively addressing society's problems. And it's not always altruistic. The thinking is if you give bursaries to matric students and you pay for them to study through their 3 years, the consequence is that you could have work back periods with them. So it's not about altruism here, but it's about a positive impact in the world. It's not just looking at what impact you've had, it is going beyond that. But there's always the intention that if you build a school somewhere, you're potentially creating opportunities for people to work who potentially could buy your products again. So it's not altruistic, but it is the ideal. It's at the highest level. Okay. Yeah.
In order to focus on social reaction and social responsiveness, company needs to be profitable.
They will be profitable. Yeah, absolutely. So 100%. But I think when you get to the social responsiveness, your profitability comes from your reputation. You get additional customers, you get additional support because of your positive reputation in society. But it will always add to profit. It almost sees social responsiveness as not a cost item. It sees it as an investment. It sees it as an investment. And it really is a positive approach too, because it does add to profits and profitability. It is the ideal, and you'll find that Unilever will be swimming in that ocean. They won't be at top two. Yeah. There might be some aspects of number two. There's no chance that they'll be social. I think they're an evolving company, and certainly the third one is where you would write a hell of a lot. Okay, the next one, guys. The page number for the next one. Is it 50? Okay, we'll just stick to it here. We'll just do it here. So what one is this? So this is 47. Okay. Oh yeah, this is the concocted one. Okay, let me just have a glance at this again quickly. Discussion theory and practice relate to I'm even looking at the right thing. Discuss the benefits. So what page is the benefits on? Just give me that again. Thank you. Come on. I'm not going to live today down, am I? I can't even read 58. Okay, so I think, and this is almost an extension of our discussion in terms of social responsiveness, the consequences ultimately add to a better reputation, and that will add to profits and profitability. So you can see in terms of the business reasons for doing this, the first one is one of the best things and one of the best reputations an employer can have is to be employer of choice. So in America, for a very, very long time, Google was employer of choice. So in certain areas, in certain cities, in certain regions, you get what is called an employer of choice. And if you're an employer of choice, you get first pick of the cream of the crop. If you're a dodgy employer, you go down and start scraping the barrel in terms of potential employees. So the first one is that people want to work for businesses that do good. Because I think there's a sense of pride. There's a sense of almost when you stand around a bright fire, you're quite happy to say that I work for whatever, Give me companies you wouldn't want to work for, examples of companies you wouldn't want to work for. Shein, yeah, Shein, definitely. Other companies?
Companies you work for.
Yeah. Call center, oh my gosh, yeah, imagine working for a call center. Yeah, and there is a call center in some of your futures because so many of my students end up in bloody call centers. Yeah, it's disturbing. It's disturbing. They want people with degrees. Yeah. Other places, companies you wouldn't work for? I think I've spoken. KPMG, although one of my my son's mates works for KPMG. I think they're trying to fix their reputation. But I can't work for a cigarette company. I think I said that to you guys. I can't work for an arms dealer. But there are those employers of choice. Yeah, I mean, some of them are very sketchy. I mean, very sketchy. But generally, as you leave here, one of the best training grounds for you guys will be the backs. Another really good training ground will be Mr. Price. Please don't underestimate how good Mr. Price is as a training ground. If you can get an internship at Mr. Price and check for internships, guys, they are very impressive. So those are the kinds of companies you want to work for. The second one is that I think working for an organization that is considered good, that is considered an organization that contributes to society, gives you high levels of motivation and certainly morale that contributes to productivity. In terms of being good, also, it's about reducing waste because you're recycling, because you're constantly making sure that you're trying to get to net carbon zero. Does anyone watch Naked and Afraid?
No.
The current, but what was interesting, I watched one last night, and the guys were eating the speckworm leaves. They were in Orabi Gorge, and they were eating the speckworm. And we've spoken about speckworm in class. It was quite interesting to see on TV where they actually sit and eat the speckworm leaves. Yeah, there was one at Orabi Gorge. They call it Orabi. I can't pronounce it the way they do, but it's Orabi. They did one there, but it was just interesting. I don't watch it for the afraid part. Um, I'm being recorded here. I am being recorded here. Oh gosh, you do. But it was interesting watching people eat speckworm because I have my own little speckworm farm. I propagate my own little speckworm and give them away for free. Guys, and then increase market share. Again, customers want to do business and support companies that are seen as doing good. Mm. It's someone tell 58. Okay. And then, guys, I think part of this, by doing good, by looking after the environment, you reduce issues in terms of insurance. I think there's so many advantages, and it's about ultimately stakeholder wealth. Remember, the modern definition of sustainability is creating wealth for your stakeholders. When you do good, you look after the interests of the stakeholders, and those stakeholders would look after your interest. So those are the benefits. Now, the challenge is in terms of this question, and they're connecting it to, oh my goodness me. Oh, this is wonderful. Right. So they're connecting that to the triple bottom line. So in terms of the triple bottom line, and you guys can go look at the pages that I've mentioned. I'm not going to talk to that. Remember that, and this is not perfectly the triple bottom line, because traditionally the triple bottom line was finance, was going to be social issues, and was going to be the natural environment. So the new definition is the quadruple bottom line, the so-called quadruple bottom line. And they've taken out of the quadruple bottom line, they've taken the finance component out because it's always going to be profits, people, planet, yeah. So people, planet, profit, and then they put purpose into that. Purpose is about ethicality and doing business in an ethical way. So if you connect it back to that from an environmental perspective, you'll have less insurance issues because you've looked after the environment. You will be able to use and reuse the environment because you've been positive in sustaining the environment. From a social issue, if you make a difference in terms of communities, you're likely to attract customers from there, which again adds to profits and profitability. And from an ethicality issue, if you have a code of ethics, if you follow ethics, you avoid so many issues, in particular court cases and court actions against you, as long as you have a proper code of ethics. Okay. Any questions on that one? It's going to be interesting to see how you connect those.
So in size SUSR is heavily connected to reputation.
100%. I mean, there's a direct line of sight between the two. 100%.